Video from my Labor Day weekend 2018 trip aboard the Horizon to Guadalupe Island with Power Scuba. Guadalupe Island is a rather large island located off the coast of Baja California. It's approximately 261 miles from San Diego, according to Google, and right about 160 or so miles from Baja. Guadalupe, from August through November every year, is a hotbed for great white sharks. It's world renowned for the clarity and action that people get when they come visit. You do dives in cages off the back of the boat. There's someone who throws bait, as you see, and smaller schooling fish gather around the bait. The bait's limited to fish heads, but what you're here for are the great whites. And this trip did not disappoint. Every single dive that we did had at least one great white shark. At least. In some instances, there were 4 great white sharks. Now, depending on what time of year you go, the gender of the great white shark will change. If you go early on in the season, at the beginning of August, it tends to be the smaller males. Males are significantly smaller than females. The average male is from 11 to 13 feet, whereas the average female is from 15 to 16 feet. The largest ever recorded female was a whopping 20 feet. And let me tell you, this must have been a monstrous great white. The largest that we think we saw was probably this female here that was quite active, quite boisterous, and was approximately 14 feet long. This is not a small shark. The great white isn't quite as streamlined as the mako, which is a close relative. It's got some girth. It hits, and it hits hard. One of the really surprising things to me about this trip was that we witnessed a number of breaching events. The way most great white sharks hunt is by swimming down deep, especially here at Guadalupe Island, and looking up for the profile of their prey. They then go at basically a 90-degree angle to the surface and swim up as fast as they can, hitting the target with all of its power in order to disable it and deliver a crippling blow. I personally witnessed one shark breach past its pectoral fins, and one of the people that I was on the trip with said that he saw a great white leap completely out of the water. I thought this was limited to South African whites, but apparently those in Guadalupe are doing it too. Here you can see 2 great whites that were next to each other. Sometimes 2 males would sort of size up each other in posture, and the larger, more dominant would drive the other one off. You can also identify individuals based on the patterns of their skin, their dorsal fin, their tail. There was one that had some deformities that you'll see here momentarily, who's named Ropey. She was quite the character. She hung out with us for quite a bit. Unfortunately, she got her name from the rope that is tied around her, as you see here. She was on a number of our dives and stuck around for quite a bit of time. The Horizon uses a system of 2 cages with 4 divers each, and apparently you're no longer allowed to chum the water, so the only bait that they can use are these fish heads that 2 spotters throw from either side. Some of the times the whites would swim directly under the cage, and so you'd frantically look back and forth to try to figure out which direction they were coming from. If it was one of the whites that was doing a breaching event, all you'd happen was you'd turn around and you'd see this white barreling at the surface and grabbing the bait. There were a number of instances where I couldn't even get a picture off. Here you can see the white got so close to the cage that I had to pull my camera in quickly, and it hit my GoPro, knocking it down towards my camera shade. The longer we were there, the more comfortable the sharks got with us and the closer they came to the cage. This was absolutely an incredible experience with these majestic creatures. Here you can see the male by the 2 claspers. I highly recommend it to anyone. And, it's really obvious that these aren't just killing machines. These are thinking, planning, intelligent creatures. There were many instances where the shark would swim right by the bait and sort of faint out the people at the surface. Everybody would yell, "White shark," whenever one would come near the baits. That way the spotters could pull it back in hopes of being able to keep the bait for later use. It wouldn't always happen, and sometimes the sharks would get their reward, as here. Anyway, I highly recommend the trip to anyone.